This last time we pretty much got everybody in it. Will we put it back further? Yeah, the microphone should pick it up.
That was the one thing Molly commented on. She listened to last month and she said she could have trouble hearing the audio. I'm sure.
I think we can move the closer. I think that's what we did last time. Just like you said.
Yeah, I'm favor.
It's 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Do we have any additions or corrections for the agenda for this evening's meeting? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Agenda is approved. We'll move into our consent items. Do any board members have any comments or questions on those?
Those questions I had, Julie, you're saying to stay tuned, we're just kind of waiting.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a conversation with them. Because it's too hot. This is what, this is for the trainer.
Oh,
Sorry, the physical trainer. And so I reached out to some other business manager people in the area and the amounts that those schools pay, and we're just not gonna do it anymore. And so Hass has actually set up a meeting with them on March 29th or 30th, I believe. So I'll get some of those numbers together from those other schools, and either they can work with us or we'll find somebody else.
We'll try to find somebody else.
Yeah.
We're really happy with the trainer herself. She does a fantastic job. It's just when they added those extra hours that they tried to do it as a pilot to see if it worked. We couldn't get anybody to come to Baxter because they just wouldn't. And so when we finally found this group to get them to come, we had to get them to do like promise more hours. And so we tried it and it's just, like you said, it's just too expensive. So we're just gonna have to tell them we can't, we love our trainer and we want to work out a deal that we can keep her, but we can't offer the community
Right.
hours. It's just, they wanted to see how it was working, see if it was a, you know, a benefit. And I think it was a benefit a little bit, but it's not worth the expense. So we're just getting rid of that part of it. I think what will happen is the rate per hour will increase, but it still isn't going to increase so much that it's double the cost. So, but yes, like she said, Zach and I are going to meet with the trainer's boss. I don't know if the trainer will be there or not, but her boss in a couple weeks.
Does that company work with other schools or?
A little bit, but we like some of the other companies that people use, we just couldn't get them to come all the way to Baxter. So we searched high and low to find a trainer to serve us. And I don't know if it was for a whole year, but I know it was a whole football season anyway. A couple years ago, we didn't have a trainer and it was not good. So hopefully we can just get that price.
I think some other options have opened up since then.
Yeah.
Like those schools that replied back to me, they use hospitals, physical therapists from their hospitals. One town said they use their chiropractor that's in that town. And so I think there's other options. I mean, there's a lot of small towns around here that have to have a trainer, so.
And we had originally reached out to the local provider and he had little kids. He just wasn't interested in committing every Tuesday and Friday. And I totally get that too. So he just wasn't available to do it. But we wanted him as well. Just, you know, just support local, but it just didn't work.
Courtney Meyer, Courtney Christensen, what about it? He's a guy.
Yes.
He's a guy.
I don't know.
Live outside of town.
Yeah, we can reach out.
I mean, when you're
Yeah.
talking about chiropractor, like,
So the website you're asking about. the
Could you
website.
speak up? It's really hard even sitting here
Sure.
to hear, let alone whoever may be on the Zoom.
So the website question that you had,
I
did you
thought that was done. I didn't know we were still doing that.
I didn't know that. And so when, and apparently Greg didn't know it either because Greg went ahead and renewed the subscription. And so then I split up the bill and sent it to the 4 entities and then it comes back to me, we're not doing this anymore. I had no idea. I wasn't contacted. And so, so then we had to do some backstepping and, you know, the city can't take over our account, but I had already paid the bill, so it might end up being easier for the city to pay us this year, you know, until we get out of it. And so that's what we're working on right now, is to see how it's easier for who's gonna pay us back.
One of Padge's new role or new responsibilities, will that entail some of that, our website?
Yeah.
Next year?
Yeah, you can definitely do some of that. This is just the website host,
Okay.
the company that we pay to be able to have a website.
Oh, okay.
And so it's kind of a dispute because we went from one company to now we have a different company. And so we use Wix, and I can't remember what the city school website company was. Do you know? GoDaddy. And so we don't use that one anymore. And so that's where the kind of the mistake happened.
Sure.
And I think Padge was still part of it when we switched to that new one because he designed the new the website we have, but he can help design a new one, update the one we have.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions or comments on the consent items? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Consent items are approved. move into public forum. Looks like we have 3 people that would like to speak tonight in just our general public forum right now. So I'll just go in order. Try to keep it 3 minutes apiece. So Sue, do you want to start?
Would you mind
Okay.
if I go first?
Chris,
Sorry,
you
I
can
have another
start.
engagement, so
Okay.
we didn't tell you, we worked it out in the background here. So I appreciate your time. Just wanted to follow up on a couple things that I presented last month. I know when Jerry and I were talking about the curriculum list and continuing the conversation on that, I know there were some concerns about it being a lengthy, arduous task. And that's not what at least Jerry and I are talking about. And I'm sure many other parents that have been asking about this are expecting from the school. I know, for instance, we homeschool, so if we do enroll, we have to have a curriculum list. We list our curriculum that we teach to. So we're just looking for that same general curriculum list. And like Mr. Aker mentioned, maybe some of the curriculum websites, we'll have that already listed. Make it simple. We're not asking for the teachers to do more work. We know there's a lot of responsibilities that are already put onto them. But if there's transparency, then that will allow that relationship to grow that we always talk about having her at Baxter to improve even more so with the parents and community. I know it was mentioned, we live in an ever-changing world, and I get that too. It is ever-changing, whether we want it to be or not. But those books that have been presented, it's not like a technology thing, it's a morality thing. And some parents just may not even be aware that their kids are being taught this and may not want the school to teach that to their children. They may not want to outsource that. They may want to keep that at home so that they can teach their kids those items when they feel they are emotionally and physically ready for it. And then I was just curious, it was mentioned an AEA director that was coming to Baxter. Was that director asked to come, or did the director come on their own? It was talking about like the public attending school board meetings and if parents are questioning teachers. I guess I'm kind of wondering about that because I thought we had the right to be at meetings, and when we have concerns, question, it just kind of seems like there's this nationwide push to keep parents and community members out of the whole process. So I was just curious what his intent was. And that's all I have. Thank you.
I can answer that real quick.
Okay.
He wasn't asked to come, but he visits all the schools that he represents. And so he was just meeting with me to talk about the employees that serve us through Heartland. And he wanted to know my feedback about their evaluations. We were just chatting. I toured him around the school. So he wasn't asked to come for that reason. He asked me if he could set up an appointment to talk about his staff. So that's his intended visit.
Well, then I misunderstood it.
Sorry, I
Sounded like it was,
in a different way or something. but
Mhm,
it's-
sure. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Who wants to go next? Sue? Okay.
I'm gonna take a chance of getting up on this from this thing till I get ready to leave because it's kind of low for me. I want to talk about some aspects of the email that I sent you. So to give you a brief historical background here, that was the reason for this information for context. I had talked about aspects of this before in different presentations. I was in school when they started implementing, changing over to the system of memorization. And so it wasn't too long after I graduated when in 1981, a national committee was put together to examine the effects of it. The report was issued in 1983. That is what I sent you the link to in the email, called A Nation at Risk. They were absolutely horrified at the effects of the system of memorization. After that report came out, what I was started doing with its state assessments was not testing some students that would test low, not counting the low test scores for other students that were tested. And every time 50% of the students in the states could not pass the assessment, they lowered the standards, which is why 20 years after this report, we get to 2002, we get No Child Left Behind, which insisted if you want federal funds under this, you must test all of your students. You must select a standard. You cannot lower the standards. And you're supposed to raise them up. They set a national standard, which was set at 60 NPR, National Percentile Rank. Iowa tried to negotiate starting at 25, and the feds rejected that. We ended up at 40. And we're still there 20 years down the road. And I know about that because Brad Buck was the state director at the time, and I met with him and some of his people, so I know that's where they were at. Now, the difference between that and the national standard and what you get on the national assessments is the concepts, changing back to a system of concepts. And as even Rob has mentioned in the newsletter, that amounts to exercises for the brain. So the better you can do those, the more thinking, problem solving you do with your brain, the decisions that you make with things. That's why they're so important. So it's really important if Iowa would actually put all of the concepts for each of the disciplines and the grade levels in there, but after 20 years, they haven't done it yet. So parents now have an out. One way to go about this is go to Amazon.com and do a search for education materials using the national standard, and you will find a variety of companies popping up. You can go to their websites and you can check their materials. They're K-12. They have all of the national concepts in there. They have instructional videos you can use. They have worksheets, assignments, things, projects, depending on what grade level you're working at. And they have assessments, so you can supplement what the Iowa schools are doing. The reason for that, the other thing I reminded in this email is from that US News report, which showed Iowa, yes, #1 in graduation rates, but the standards, because they're low enough, we rank 40th in the country. So down in the dregs at the bottom of the barrel in terms of skill sets of graduating seniors. So parents have an option while waiting or even hoping schools might actually get the standards up, the mental exercises. They have these additional options so their students can supplement. It would also make a difference because schools have to remediate where they have left out some of the concepts and some students just can't bridge the gap. These materials parents can get online, or families, would help the students tremendously. One last aspect to, last year I did contact a mathematician at the State Department of Education who did verify for me that there is no way of making any alignment between the national assessments and the state assessments. It's not just a difference in the standards, it's content. That's the reason for that. One last thing, that's the university, the only one now I presently teach for, because it's one of the ones that has a contract with the Department of Defense. We were told we had to get up to international standards, which are even higher, and we've done that in about 7 years. Absolutely every degree program and every grade level. And here we have Iowa still down here where they started in 2002 at the 40th national percentile ranking. So some work needs to be done, but I realize educators are factional, just like political factions, and you can't all get together on things. I do understand that. That's why I'm trying to give parents another option here. Did I make it within my 3 minutes?
Close.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, you did great.
Okay, Christy?
Yes. Last board meeting in February, I heard this board and administration speak how the community and parents need to trust the teachers, trust the school. As I listened, I began to wonder how that trust has been reciprocated. Is the trust given to the students, parents, and community as much as it's demanded for the teachers in the school? Is there open communication and transparency, building that trust and building relationships? I'd like to share a few examples for you to consider. Does this scenario build trust or erode it? During the last month's board meeting, a member of this board used group labels to infer someone's beliefs and perspective of the world. I quote, at approximately 23 minutes in the February 22nd or 2022 Baxter School Board meeting. In Baxter, we're just white heterosexual Christian people, majority, who are supposed to learn about their cultures and religions and Black and white people. Rather than focus on the unique humanness of individuals in this community and appreciate their diverse perspectives, members of this board resorted to degrading this community, utilizing labels, accusing limited perspective, and demonstrating the inability to appreciate the uniqueness of individuals in this community. Because of these statements of this board and the use of group identity to infer perception, I'm more concerned about this board and the group ideologies that critical race theory have led to. I'm less concerned about parents teaching respect for all. Second, a more personal example. My 4-year-old son was doing dishes about a month ago. He looks over at my husband and there's soap on his arm. And he makes a comment clear as day, my body, my choice. Stopped us dead in our tracks. We asked our son the question, where did you learn that? He said, from his school, from his teacher. We paused. We set up a meeting. We asked to have a meeting with the teacher. We proceeded to have the conversation to ask the question of the teacher. Was this where he learned this phrase? And they confirmed this is where our son learned the phrase. We shared concerns, explained why that phrase, asked why that phrase was being used. We shared concerns about the phrase, what it meant, and why it was being used. And immediately, the teacher intently listened and agreed to immediately see things from our perspective that they hadn't seen the perspective before. Appreciated that we called out the concern, raised the concern, and thought of a better approach to teaching the concept they were aiming at teaching. Rather than covering it up, denying it, or saying that our concerns were unfounded, they were given us respect and solutions were reached. Third, from the beginning of my attending the school board meetings a year ago, I've seen this board question the intent of concerns raised by students, question the intent of concerns raised by teachers, push back on concerns, rather than taking the approach to investigate thoroughly, understand with earnest, and solve the problem. Whether it's been masking, to school safety, to curriculum, to literature, to courses that surf on the edge of legal. At every turn, parents are questioned about the sincerity of raising concerns for our kids. We're pushed aside while this board and administration says, we're just following guidance. We're waiting on legislation. My kid hasn't experienced that, so it doesn't exist. There's lack of reciprocal trust. There's lack of stepping up and leading to solve the problems of these legitimate concerns. Now I ask you, the reason parents and community members have raised the concerns about critical race theory, masking, curriculum, safety, trust in the school are directly the result of the concerns not being taken seriously and addressed the way you would expect them if it was your child the concerns were being raised for. You would expect this group to listen earnestly. You would expect them to ask earnest questions, to seek understanding, to thoroughly investigate and provide solutions while keeping the concerned party informed. You would expect them to trust your intent, to trust that you're seeking answers to support the best interest of your child. That's what builds trust. That's what this community needs. And this school needs. Now I ask you, if those things don't happen, we're left to wonder, where are the interests of this board? Do they support and advocate for our kids? Do they support the serving of this community? Are they truly in charge? Or is someone else, something in charge? Is it a lawyer? Is it a lobbyist group? Is it a union? Now, I don't honestly know the answers to any of these questions, and I sincerely hope this board, administration, and school answer them for the community, the students, and the parents, and for the teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll, excuse me, move into our business items. Principals report. Jason.
Just so you know, Rob isn't with us tonight. He had to go to a meeting for Nate McMiniman, so he'll be at that.
I just have two things written down. So just quickly, we had reading week last week and a lot of fun activities around that. The kids were super excited about all the different things we were doing, from some, like, it was all basketball themed, kind of March Madness kind of theme. So there was a tournament of books and that's still going on. So the books are working their way through the brackets and the different classes are reading them and choosing their favorite within those books. And then there were contests, kind of focused on basketball, shoe design, and some different things there. But it was just a great week. The kids had tons of fun with reading as the emphasis, and then putting a little basketball tournament time theme. So really enjoyed that. The kids are enjoying that, and that's still kind of going on through this month, reading month. The only other thing I have on there is ISASP is coming up quick, and see that on my calendar as I was preparing. And so we have training, I believe on Monday, right? There's a training, I think, for teachers, and then lots of practice stuff for kids. This will be our first time doing them online. You know, I'd like to say that our new Wonders curriculum is pretty rigorous. The test, I mean, I think those questions on the assessments we're using in Wonders is really preparing kids kind of on a rigor level for the ISASP type questions. So it'll be interesting doing it online. There's a whole lot of potential pitfalls with that we just have to prepare kids for, like scrolling through their text, right? And there's just some things that they're not as prepared to do that we will have to make sure that we're taking care of and getting ready. So I feel like these next couple of weeks after spring break are just going to fly by, and we'll get going on that. So that's really all I have. I feel like we've met so many times. I don't know what I've shared or not shared, so I'll leave it at that. Oh, I did write down interviews. We have a lot of interviews coming up too. I feel like it's just that time of year, right? So there's a lot going on with some interviews coming up in the next couple of weeks. The high school level, shared level, and then at our level at elementary with the instructional coach. So
Thank you. Our next item is the BEA mission proposal.
So do we read this aloud? How did the procedure?
And then we'll go into closed session at the end of the meeting to
And this percentage
discuss
that
negotiations.
they have is a little different than ours, so just use the dollar amount, because they're didn't calculate it quite the same way, but the dollar amount is the same.
Okay. So their initial proposal is our health insurance looks like it's 9.95% increase for the upcoming school year. An $800 increase on the base salary with corresponding step and lane movement on the salary schedule. 189-day teacher contract, which that's what we've always had, I think. And they came up with a revised base to $33,245. So that'd be for step one,
Yes.
lane one, right? That'd be a beginning teacher right out of college. So that's their initial proposal. As I said, we will go into closed session at the end of the meeting to discuss it. Okay, our next item is the district calendar for the upcoming school year.
And this is the same calendar I shared last month. Shared it with the administrative team, and then a couple of teachers, and people kind of looked through it and just checked to see if there were any errors or anything. And then we talked about it last month at the board meeting. So I didn't get any feedback from anybody. So I'll post this one. And for you out in the audience, it's very similar to this year's calendar. So start date is the 23rd of August, and the last day of school is 25th, May 25th.
We have a pretty good amount of hours or whatever built in
Yeah.
additional for.
Yep, we sure do. So the hours are 1,119, and we need 1,080. So almost not quite 40 extra, 39 extra hours. So that gives us a little flexibility with snow days.
And then the parent teacher conferences,
They're still in there.
they're still in there, and we'll just discuss possibly.
Yeah,
I
we
might
may-
just change it up.
May change the format a bit, but we left them in there for now. That those dates will be the same, but we may just tweak the format of how we do it. Unfortunately, this time around, we had bad weather several times. Really impacted conferences. We hadn't really had any bad weather until conferences.
Are we still, not that that's the upcoming calendar, current year calendar, okay,
Yeah,
on
we're
snow
still good.
days and that? Okay. Getting close?
Get close.
Okay.
We don't want to have very many more. Thankfully, that storm is changing its path for tomorrow. Hopefully after spring break, you could hope that we're out of the woods, but it's Iowa, so who knows?
Okay, any other questions board members have on the calendar? Do we have a motion to approve the calendar as presented? We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. The 2022-2023 district calendar is approved as presented. Next item on the agenda is open enrollment.
So
Looks like we have
just one.
one person.
Crystal Orange.
Yeah.
Crystal's the mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
The daughter's.
Yeah, sorry,
Corinza.
I'm sorry.
Lorenza.
Corinza, yeah. Corinza.
Did they come visit you
They
today?
came to visit, I toured them the other day, so
They'll be in fourth grade next year.
she's gonna be in fourth.
Be in fourth, okay.
And she's coming to us. She lives in the Newton district, but has been homeschooled until now. And so wants to go faster.
Board members have any questions on that? Do we have a motion to approve the open enrollment application as presented?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Open enrollment applications approved as presented. Next item on the agenda is personnel.
Long list here. So we want to do all the resignations.
Yeah, yes, we'll do those first.
So we've got Melissa Kamala as assistant middle school track coach, Jalen Sickles as business teacher, Doug Clemmy as high school baseball, and Zach Archer, K-12 choir.
Do we have a motion to approve the resignations as presented?
Um,
We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Resignations are approved as presented.
And then contracts for Dana Buckland, assistant middle school track, Josiah Eccles, assistant varsity boys track, Jordan Westlink, co-head volleyball coach, Nicole Burdess, dance coach, Eric Pageant, technology director, and that's a shared technology director position. He'll be shared with Colt Maxwell.
Will we hold the contract?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Heather Jessen, co-head middle school softball coach, Maddie Pierce, the other co-head middle school softball. And then Josh Russell, just as a volunteer, he is helping occasionally with track, but we just wanted to make sure we had officially approved him since he's not on our payroll anymore. Who's Mr. Eccles? Do you know? He's a good friend of Mr. Wagner's.
Oh, okay.
And he's just helping, or yeah, Jason probably has met him.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's been helping out.
okay.
Collegiate athlete. He's young.
He's young.
I mean, he's graduated from college and stuff. He's a track athlete in college and high school. So he's helping.
He's got pretty solid numbers.
He's got a big
Big
team.
team.
Big,
That's great. We love,
bigger.
yeah, last year, you just never know. Jason had a huge team last year and the boys didn't. And now this year it's kind of swapped. So it's great to see kids out for sports though. Love to get them involved in something. Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Chris.
Anybody else have any questions on the contracts to be offered? We have a motion to approve the contracts as presented. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Contracts are approved as presented. Facilities, grounds, transportation, we don't really have anything under that. Did Pam kind of verify what the dollar amount was that we were talking about out at the rec complex for the? There's some question on what the windows, if there was all of them or just per window.
She hasn't done that yet.
Okay,
I think she's in the process of answering a few of those questions that
Okay.
you had last time.
all right.
Because we typically approve the summer projects in April, is that
I think it's April 1.
Yeah.
April and May,
That one we talked about trying to get moved up just
just so that.
before
Yeah.
track season, which that might be pushing it. now.
April,
Jason,
Jason says April
First home
8th.
track meet.
First home track meet sounds about right to me, April 8th. I can look real quick while you
Yeah.
talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, we'll move on to superintendent's report.
I don't have much either. I mean, we just, with these meetings being so close together from last month. The one thing I did note, I went to STEM night and it was really, really good. Super well attended. Kudos to our science teachers and our tag teacher and Mr. Pickett. I saw some high school kids there volunteering, and middle school kids. Just really, it was really a cool thing to see. Lots of parents there, and it was a cool night. So I was really, really proud of our community. And fun to see him doing science, like as a former science teacher, I love it, so that was really fun. And I think our new STEM room has really gotten kids excited. And then with Mr. Pickett's, changing roles next year to being the computer science and STEM teacher, that'll just be one more really cool opportunity for our kids. So it was a neat night, and I hope they continue that. They started it, I think it was last year was the first time with it, and
Sadie's year.
Sadie's year, so is this our third?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just hope it now just is a thing that we do, because it's a great night. Really, the only other thing is Jason and Rob and Julie and I have been doing a lot of putting our heads together and looking at how can we fill the needs of our staffing and still stay within our budget. So, we've been trying to get pretty creative. So I think we have a pretty solid plan put together. And now, Jason or Rob has posted a few job openings for these positions, and we're actually getting applicants. So, sometimes you get 0 applicants. And so for some of these positions, we're already getting 2 and 3 and 4 applicants. So we're very excited about that. Yeah, so it's because in years past, sometimes, years ago, you'd get 30 or 40 applicants. And then the last couple of years, we've been getting none or 1 or 2. And so it's nice to see a few teachers wanting to work here. So love it. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. And then, it's the hiring season. So people are looking and, people move on, and that's great. We'd rather have great teachers for a couple of years than not at all. So we'll just see what happens in the next couple months. So that's really about all I have. This is maybe the shortest school board meeting on record.
It's the 8th.
Oh, April 8th. So it'd be great if we could have it done by April 8th. We'll see if I can have that pretty fast. But those, at least the parts that we really need done, if it's that group that did Jason's office, they did that out quick. So they could probably, I can't speak for them, but it'd be nice if they could get it done. I just know they can do quick work. So. All right, that's all I've got then.
Okay, our next item is to go into exempt session to, it's allowed by chapter 20, section 20.173 of the Iowa Code for collective bargaining negotiation process. We'll go into that to discuss the initial proposal from BEA and the board's proposal. We have a motion to go into exempt session. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. Went into exempt session at 6:36.